Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never shamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. It's hump day. It's your man Wise, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up today. Appreciate you pulling up today, man. On the way in, please make sure you hit that like button for me. Hey, if you'd like to support the channel in another way financially, super chat, super thanks. You could join the ARP family. We had 3 people join the ARP family yesterday. We also have Buy Me a Coffee. We have membership there. Anybody that is a part of the Buy Me a Coffee membership does get access to the Slack channel. I'm actually going to make that available as well to those in the ARP family. I got to do some things behind the scenes on YouTube, and I got to make that happen, but we'll get that happen. If not today, tomorrow, we'll make it happen before the end of the week. 5 days, man. 5 days. Welcome to everybody. Welcome. I appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. In the chat, man, let me know where you are tuning in from in the chat. What's going on, RJ Hudson? How you doing today, brother? Shout out to the Blues. We got Zephyr K9 in the building today. Shout out to Ed Marr. Appreciate you, brother, pulling up as always. Shout out to Dean Johnson, ARP family member, pulled up today as well. Appreciate you guys, man. We had a great show yesterday. I hope you guys enjoyed that. What's going on, T.A. Caskey? T.A. Caskey in the building. Taxachusetts in the building. What's going on with you, brother? We got another great one today, man. Another busy day on Capitol Hill with confirmation hearings. And there were some big names. We're going to get into it today. That's going to be a lot of the conversation today. Man, that whole situation out there, man, it's just crazy, man. Political theater on 1,000. That's pretty much what it is. Oh, I'm sure, yeah, TA, I'm for certain. It's cold. It's cold up. It's cold. Well, we're down here from you guys, but it's cold down here as well. It is cold. But I'm looking forward to some warmth. We're actually supposed to warm up a little bit. And when I say warm, I think we're going to be into the 40s over the weekend, which on Sunday, it jumped into the 40s and it was warm outside. It felt hot. So I definitely can appreciate that. Oh, snaps, man. We got Jeff. How do you say your last name? I'm a butcher it, but I got to show you some love, man. We got Jeff Mickelrath. I hope I pronounced that properly. watching from the Philippines. Shout out to you, brother. What time is it out there? I guess it's 7:30 in the morning out there because they're a 12-hour difference, man. What's going on, Debbie? How you doing? We got Rhode Island in the building. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be cold, on Monday. Zephyr, it's definitely going to be cold out on Monday. But over the weekend, I mean, cold relative to, maybe some other parts of the country because we've been in the teens and 20s for the past 2 weeks. So for it to jump up into the 40s, I don't know what Monday looks like, but I know the weekend, Saturday, Sunday is supposed to be in the 40s. And that's a major difference, from teens and 20s to jumping into the mid 40s. So let's get into the show today. What's going on, NPO Creations? The sister in the building. What's going on, Kenny G? What's going on with you, brother? Appreciate you guys pulling up today. Man, shout out to you guys, man. Like I said, we got a great show. Happy Hump Day. It's Wednesday, halfway through the week. Tomorrow, we got a great show. I got some guests coming on. Tomorrow is going to be fun. I'm going to do what I do, but I also have some guests coming on to the show to add a little more flavor to the show. Hopefully, that'll be something that we can add on a week-to-week basis, maybe a couple times during the week, but we'll start with at least once a week to do that. As always, keep it PC in the chat, but there is no censorship here. You get a choice to voice your opinion. Civil discourse is extremely important to me. I think, we all have something to say. We should be able to say it. So I just ask that you keep it clean, keep it peaceful in the chat. But let's get after it, man. So the confirmation hearings, for some pretty big names went down today on Capitol Hill. We had, who do we have in there? We had Kristi Noem for Homeland Security. We had Sean Duffy for Transportation. We had Chris Wright for Energy. Russell Vaught for OMB. We have John Ratcliffe for the CIA. Marco Rubio, for the state. And Pam Bondi for Justice. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know how much of you guys watched, this, but I got to tell you, man, the Democrats were really swinging for the fences, with their questions today. And, we're going to zero in more on Pam Bondi than anybody else today, just because I thought that, she absolutely stole the show. I mean, they grilled her hard, but I mean, she handled it like a complete and total pro. Like she's been doing this all her life. But I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about one of the intellectual giants of Congress. One of the smartest people in Congress right now. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about her. She's the gift that keeps on giving. And that's the Hawaii Senator, Mazie Hirono. She decided to play prosecutor, delivering a line of question that was so ridiculous. She turned this situation into a complete clown show. We got to dive in it. So we're kicking the show off with her today. I don't know if you guys seen the short, but we were, I kind of, got in on that a little bit earlier today with the short, but she is literally the gift that keeps on giving. We're going to start it off with her today.
That you as Attorney General should investigate one of his perceived political enemies. Would you do so?
Senator Hirono, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I am
You could
listening
have
to
gotten
you
to
now.
know me.
Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator. But what we would have discussed is that it is the job of the Attorney General to
I'm very
follow
happy to
the
listen to
law.
your responses under oath, Ms. Bondi. So I think it's really important to us that the Attorney General be independent of the White House. And you have a president-elect who considers the AG's office his law firm. I would like to know whether if the president suggests, hints, asks, that you as Attorney General should investigate one of his perceived enemies? What would
Senator,
you
I
do?
certainly have not heard the president say that. But what I will tell you is 2/3 of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice. And it's statements like that, I believe,
Ms.
that make
Bondi.
people continue to lose faith. If I am confirmed as Attorney General, it will be my job
Getting
to
on
not
to my
only
next
keep
question,
America
you're not
safe,
responding.
but restore integrity to that department.
don't we
and that's
move
what
on
I
to
plan
something
on
that
doing
you said?
every single day as Attorney General.
On August 25th, 2025,
Okay, so I think the clip might have been a little on the lower end side of things, but hopefully you guys were able to get the gist of that. But she flat out got caught And then, she's like, hey, let's just move on. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. I'm trying to get an understanding of how did she get into office? Why did the people in Hawaii put her in play? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. First off, it's standard practice for senators to meet with nominees ahead of hearings. At least that's what I thought anyway. I mean, it's politics 101. A little pregame chat to understand, where they're coming from. But Maisie, nah, she decided that she's going to skip the meeting with Pam Bondi altogether. And you've got to wonder why. You've got to wonder why. Why would she avoid such a basic part of the process? Maybe she thought that she could wing it, but, the strategy, it blew up in her face big time. And in Bondi, she handled it like a pro. She made it clear that she's focused on following the law and not getting sucked into political games. And then she called it out. Hirono's refusal to meet beforehand was just bad form. And Bondi was essentially saying, Senator, if you'd have taken the time to meet with me, we could have had a real discussion about my qualifications and vision. But no, Hirono went straight to the grandstanding playbook, skipped the meaningful conversation, toss out some shade, and hope no one notices, how hollow her whole performance is. And then just when you think it can't get worse, she drops another gem of a comment. Another gem of a comment. Goodness gracious, man. Hold up a second here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As part of my responsibility to ensure the fitness of all nominees, I ask the following two initial questions. First, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
It's ridiculous, man. I mean, what a bizarre question. Imagine asking every senator the same thing. I'm convinced many wouldn't even pass confirmation process if they were held to the same so-called standards. They wouldn't. The truly sad part about all of this is that this woman isn't just in the U.S. Senate. She's also on the Armed Service and Judiciary Committees, two of the most powerful bodies in Congress. It's honestly a bit concerning that this is the person that's on these committees. With that being said, we got to take a moment to appreciate how Pam Bondi, has been handling, these completely outlandish questions with poise and professionalism. Take a look at this exchange right here.
During the campaign, first, are the felons convicted of breaking into the Capitol on January 6th hostages or patriots, quoting Trump, as President-elect Trump has said repeatedly? Do you agree with his characterization of the felons that I referred to?
I am not familiar with that statement, Senator.
I just familiarized you with that statement. Do you agree with that statement?
I'm not familiar with it, Senator.
No answer. He has also said illegal immigration is poisoning the blood of our nation. He said that in December 2023. Do you agree with that statement?
Senator, I am not familiar with that statement, but what I can tell you is I went to the border a few months ago. I went to Yuma, Arizona, and what I saw at that border was horrific, Senator. It was horrific.
Ms. Bondi,
I went to a rape crisis center.
That is
If I could
not my
finish,
question.
I went to a rape crisis center. I'm not familiar with the statement, but I
get
went to a
to
rape
the
crisis
next-
center.
let
I
me
met
get to
with
the
Border
important-
Patrol
Perhaps?
agents. I'm sure you've been to the
Ms.
border
Bondi,
as well, so
I
you
want to
could
get
answer
to my
that.
next question. So
Good on Bondi, though, for not taking that bait. And good on her for not allowing Senator Hirono to just overtalk her. Yesterday, when we were going through this yesterday, and she was overtalking Hegseth, and I think Hegseth was being extremely respectful, and it's a different look when it's a man to a woman in comparison to woman to woman. Because had Hegseth like really, kind of got into his masculine and demanded that this lady shut the heck up and let him answer a question, it would have been looked at in an unfavorable light. But the fact that it's Pam Bondi, it's woman to woman, she could be a little more aggressive, a little more assertive with Senator Hirono. She could. So good on Bondi for not taking the bait and for being willing to stand her ground and get her point across. Good on her for that. This wasn't, a back and forth though. It was really just a classic gotcha question politics. That's pretty much all it was. Ask a loaded question, cut her off when she starts to respond, and then throw out accusations without backing them up. I mean, it's the typical playbook from these Democrats, man. Typical playbook. And now Hirono comes in hot with the question about Trump's comments on illegal immigration, clearly trying to set a trap. But Bondi is entirely too sharp for that. She's entirely too sharp for it. And instead of getting pulled into the political theatrics, she pivots, to her own experience, like her trip to the border. And Hirono, who I'm sure has never been to the border, I'm almost for certain that lady hasn't been anywhere close to the daggone border. And why would she? She's part of the problem. She's all for letting in, millions of illegal immigrants. She's all for letting these people come in and flood our cities. She's all for it. Because she also understands that, hey, we're playing the long game, man. If we can get these people and we can get them an opportunity to vote, they'll be Democratic voters. She's part of that process. She's part of that. So this entire exchange, it just highlights the stark difference between political theater and actually addressing the issues that matter. And speaking of theater, let's not forget our own rhinos like South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who's been chomping at the bit, to extend FISA. Pam Bondi's response to that, let's just say, it raised some eyebrows. We got to take a look at it, though.
For reauthorizing FISA in 2025.
Senator, I believe 702 is up in 2026.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry,
believe it's
26.
2026, and we will closely be looking at that. FISA is a very
Do you
important
agree
tool.
that the 702 provides important intel gathering capability to protect our nation?
Extremely important.
Okay. So, Pam, you're about to step into a job that's one of the most important jobs in any democracy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, if they strong-armed her, into publicly voicing approval for it, but it's definitely somewhat concerning. I mean, FISA as a tool, it's absolutely necessary, but the lack of oversight is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. And who knows, maybe, she had to toe the line during the confirmation process just to get through. Hopefully that's the case. But once confirmed, she'll work to reform the system and ensure it's not abused like it was, when Democrats weaponized it against Trump. I hope that that's the case. And after all, the Democrats have been bending the truth in confirmation hearings for years. So maybe it's time the GOP started playing by the same rules. Maybe. But that said, overall, I think, this is a solid pick. And I'm optimistic about what she can accomplish. I'm optimistic. If nothing else, Pam Bondi can definitely hold her own. Just check out this exchange. It says a lot. It really does.
I'm speaking. Your job will be to protect voters and election workers, not to undermine and dox them. Now, I know that earlier you agreed that Joe Biden is in fact president, but many of the president-elect's inner circle continue to spread the big lie about the 2020 election. Then we'll move on to a different topic. 'cause I know
Senator,
that's one
you were
that you're obviously
speaking.
not
May I,
comfortable
may
with.
I speak? You
I
cut
want
me
to ask
off
you the
when I
next
was
question. You
speaking.
can speak, and I hope you answer, Ms. Bondi.
Well, I'd
now,
like
when
to
we met
answer the
yesterday,
previous one, Senator.
when we met yesterday,
You pointed your finger at me and
you
said
did not
you were
seem to be
speaking.
familiar
Let me answer
with
my
the
question. I'm not going to be
Citizenship
bullied by you,
Clause, the
Senator
14th
Padilla.
Amendment of the United States of America, which was deeply disappointing.
I guess you
And I'm
didn't want to
hoping you're
hear
more
my
familiar
answer
with it
about
today
Pennsylvania.
after I gave an opportunity to study overnight. So can you tell me and this committee what the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment says?
Senator, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not here to do your homework and study for you. If I am confirmed
No,
as
you're
Attorney
the one
General.
asking for a confirmation
Hey,
vote,
you
ma'am.
cut me off. Can I please finish?
What does the 14th Amendment say?
Senator, the 14th Amendment, we all know, addresses birthright citizenship. I've been a state prosecutor. I've been a state AG. I look forward to, even given your remarks today, working with you and the people of California if I am confirmed as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America. I didn't take your homework assignment. I'm sorry. I was preparing for today.
That was feisty. I'm here to answer your questions, not to study and do your homework for you. That right there, man, that was a boss move right there for sure. And where are the feminists at now? Seriously, where are the feminists? Where's the outrage about him pointing his finger at her and dismissively or shouting her down? Where's the feminists? Nowhere. Nowhere to be seen. No one has anything to say about this. What's clear here is that Pam Bondi isn't someone who's just going to roll over. And that's exactly what we need. You can see it not just in this clip, but throughout the hearings. She's got the composure and the backbone to stand up for what's right. And it's pretty daggone impressive. And it gives me hope for, what she could accomplish if confirmed. I mean, this position is crucial under Biden. The DOJ has become more of a political weapon than the impartial defender of justice it's supposed to be. We need to get back to basics. We need to get back to basics, where the DOJ is about serving justice, not settling political scores. And with Bondi in charge, she has a real opportunity to clean house and restore some credibility. Because honestly, I don't think the American people feel good or comfortable with the way the judicial system has been used over the past 3-4 years. I mean, just think about it, man. Think about the possibilities. She could push for FISA reforms to ensure it's not abused to target political opponents. She could also strengthen efforts to ensure fair elections, investigate irregularities, and combat voter fraud. The potential impact, it's huge. It's huge. And let's not forget, with someone like Bondi at the helm, we might finally see some accountability for figures like Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, the guy who wouldn't stop with the whole Russia narrative and, led the charge on the impeachment hoax. Bondi could implement real checks and balances to stop people like him from using their positions for partisan vendettas. It's about time we had someone who could put the brakes on this type of political theater. We got to take a look at this, man. It's exactly why Bondi is, in my opinion, the right pick.
You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my questions.
California right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good Attorney General, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power.
investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did
let me-
leaking your
let me ask
colleague
you,
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one,
I will look at every file I am
of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I
is.
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first
mislead
day?
this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important.
Wow. Goodness gracious, man. Pam Bondi, she didn't just put Schiff in his place. She didn't just do that. She absolutely schooled this dude on live TV, man. She schooled this dude on live TV. I mean, this was incredible, man. It was incredible to watch her call out this dude's history of pushing lies and false narratives. The message was loud and clear. Your time is running out. Simple. Your time is running out, man. I mean, it's amazing what happens when the right, gets aggressive and unapologetic. Bondi showed exactly how it's done. No backing down, no playing nice, just straight up accountability. I mean, this is powerful stuff, man. It's powerful. And since we're talking about political figures being grilled, let's shift to California, where Governor Gavin Newsom is feeling the heat himself. Deservedly. He's deserved everything that he has coming to him. He's deserved all of it. No matter how much the mainstream media tries to blame this on climate change, or even Trump, they've tried that too. The people aren't buying it. People are not buying that. And the truth is this disaster lies squarely on Democrats and their failed leadership, their incompetence. It's on that. It's on them. And under Newsom's watch, we've seen mismanagement, poor planning, and a total lack of accountability in wildfire prevention and response. California's resources aren't stretched thin because of external factors. They're stretched because of internal failures. And it's not just Newsom. I mean, look at LA Mayor Karen Bass, who skipped town during the crisis to attend an international event. But of course, instead of owning up to their failures, Newsom scapegoating, and this time it's Elon Musk, predictable. They're looking for anybody to blame but themselves. But first, we got to hear from, our sponsor, Lear Capital, and then we'll keep the show rocking. Let me be brutally honest with you all. Our American values and financial system are under attack right now. You need to act fast and learn alternative ways to invest. That's why I trust Lear Capital for buying gold and silver. In today's volatile economic and political climate, precious metals can protect your wealth. Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and more than $3 billion in trusted transactions. Here's what I recommend. Call Lear Capital today. 800-489-6450 or visit learrp.com to request their free gold and silver investor kit. You can take possession of your metals, store them, or even roll over an IRA or a 401k into a gold IRA with the same tax benefits. Plus, they're offering up to $15,000 in bonus gold for qualified purchases. Call today at 800-489-6450 or go to learrp.com for more information.
Elon knows what he's doing, and he knows how to do it. And
you think he
he's a
knows he's
force.
pushing inaccurate information?
I don't think.
You know.
Come on.
Why is he doing it then?
I'll leave that to more objective minds. But I've a lot of mutual friends and a lot of folks that don't know what the hell's happened either, and a lot of folks that are part of that train.
This is already going.
All right, so here's the reality, yo. Here's the reality. Gavin Newsom, he's been playing fast and loose with California's water resources. You guys know that. We've been talking about this for the better part, of a week and a half now. And now the state, they're paying the price, unfortunately. The constituents are paying the price. The people who voted this man in office, they're paying the price. Leading up to the wildfires, significant water was released from reservoirs like the Santa Ynez or Inez in LA County, allegedly for repairs, leaving it offline during a critical firefighting moment. And then you combine this with environmental regulations that prioritize, fish species over human needs during emergencies, and you have a recipe for disaster. Simple as that. California's water infrastructure has been neglected for years, and Newsom hasn't done much to fix it. And instead, he's in panic mode right now, shifting blame on Elon Musk, Donald Trump, or anyone else that he can think of to take the heat off of him. Newsom's even calling Musk a purveyor of misinformation, which is ironic considering his own track record of dodging accountability. Meanwhile, fire preparedness was abysmal. You guys know it. I know it. The country know it. The world knows it. It was abysmal. They were not prepared for this. Warnings about wind conditions and fire risk were ignored. Fire crews weren't prepped. Emergency declarations were delayed, and critical resources weren't allocated in time. There was a clip of Joe Rogan talking about this, 6 months, maybe a year or so ago, that a fire could break out and the right type of winds, it could be catastrophic. And that was on Joe Rogan, a while back. And I would assume that same information had been shared with Gavin Newsom, but still nothing was done about it and it was ignored. And reports show that fire departments didn't even deploy all available engines or keep second shifts ready, despite the obvious threat. And Newsom dares to lecture us about leadership. It's crazy, man. And what's even more telling is that Elon Musk has done more for Californians during these crises than Newsom has. When the wildfires knocked out communication, Musk Starlink stepped in and restored internet access. Has Newsom actually gone out and thanked this man? Absolutely not. He hasn't. And instead, he's been blaming Musk for California's own shortcomings. You can't make this stuff up, man. And to make matters worse, the federal government is now demanding accountability before handing over billions of dollars, in disaster aid. House Speaker Mike Johnson and other Republicans are asking fair questions. And to be honest with you, before you get any more money from the American people, from our tax dollars, yes, y'all got to answer some questions. You got to ask, they have to ask, why should we fund a state that repeatedly mismanages its resources? Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, he put it bluntly: fix the problem or don't expect any more money. And that's a fair point. And when Psaki pressed Newsom on this, his response said everything that you needed to know. His response says it all.
Costly outbreak of wildfires in American history, and you're going to need a tremendous amount of resources. You called a special session of the legislature back in yesterday to hopefully sign into law new funding, additional funding for wildfires in the next couple of days. And just to be clear, because this is an area where there's been a little bit of misinformation, you want that wildfire disaster relief funding to go forward on its own as quickly as possible?
100%, yeah. Unlike what's happening in the federal government, where they're trying to condition the debt ceiling to disaster recovery for Americans in the state of California, we'll never condition any of that It has to be clean, $2.5 billion, let it go. And that's just a down payment. That's just an immediate down payment with all the other support from the SBA and FINA and philanthropy and, of course, all the work that we're doing to hold insurance companies accountable to moving claims forward. I just met with 40-plus leaders in the insurance industry, CEOs and presidents. We just had to come to Jesus on making sure it's a transparent process, a responsible process. We're going to hold folks accountable to actually getting checks in people's hands. At the same time, we also talked about the stress on the insurance market, not just the insurance market with the private insurers, but the FAIR plan in California, which is not a government plan, but it is a syndicate pool where the exposure obviously is going to be profound and significant. And we're making determinations, stress testing the ability to pay those claims as well.
Can the people, the FAIR plan, can the people of California who are going to have to rebuild their homes, can they be confident that there's going to be enough funding in there? It's not a government program, but it does come from insurance companies.
Well, we're going to be accountable to the claims. We're going to follow through on the commitments and the provisions of those requirements. Now the.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. A whole lot to unpack here. So Newsom wants $2.5 billion in disaster relief. No strings attached. Don't plan on answering any questions. They want $2.5 billion with no strings attached. I mean, this is typical, man. And let's not forget, California is already getting federal aid. They're already receiving it. Biden recently approved a major disaster declaration, which means funds are already flowing from FEMA, the SBA, and other sources. But here's the kicker. While billions are sent overseas to Ukraine with barely a second thought, victims in California, North Carolina, and in Hawaii, they receive checks for $770, $750, and $600 respectively. I mean, it's ridiculous. Meanwhile, during California's wildfires, Biden sent $500 million more over to Ukraine. Not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, I think it would have cost, maybe $5 billion to rebuild out in Hawaii, out in Maui, when they had their fire situation out there. But the Biden-Harris administration accidentally sent $6 more billion over to Ukraine on accident. I don't think it was an accident, but they said it was an accident. So that right there, it tells you everything that you need to know about where their priorities lie. And then there's Newsom suddenly talking about accountability, meeting with insurance CEOs and claiming that Californians need empathy and care, which I do agree with that. They do need empathy. They do need care. I mean, empathy is great, but it doesn't rebuild homes, nor does it prevent wildfires. What they really need and what the people need out in California is competent leadership, not empty rhetoric. That's what they need. The estimated damage from these wildfires is over $250 billion. Y'all didn't hear me, did y'all? This is crazy. The estimated damage from these wildfires is over $250 billion with a B, a really big B. I mean, we're talking $250 billion to rebuild out there. Yet Newsom and his allies are more focused on attacking Republicans for demanding accountability than offering real solutions for recovery. And honestly, Kevin O'Leary, he nailed it, hit the ball straight out of the park. Sure, we'll send the money, but get rid of Newsom, get rid of Bass, so this situation, it doesn't happen again. You want the money? They got to go. Resign something. They got to go.
Give me 30 seconds.
And Bass, I think every taxpayer in America, including those in California, would like to tie this aid to removing Newsom and Bass. Now, gone. Part of the deal would be, and I know Trump likes new ideas, here's one, not a dime until those two are whacked from their jobs immediately. They are so incompetent, and all of the decisions they've made led to this, and they're still making mistakes. They're horrific managers. Whack them.
I love that idea. I love that idea. In the chat, let me know what you guys think about that. No money until both of them are out of here. They need to resign. They need to resign. There shouldn't be another vote. There shouldn't be a situation where the people are like, oh, let's vote. Nope. Just step down, resign, quit, get out of here. Kevin O'Leary's absolutely right. I love the sound of that. Newsom and Bass, they've had years to prove that they could handle these emergencies. Years and time again, they failed. This isn't the first failure. This is just the big failure. This isn't the first one. This is the big one. The fires are getting worse. The responses are getting slower, and taxpayers are left footing the bill for their incompetence. So why should Washington keep throwing money at a system that's clearly broken from the top down? Seriously. What if disaster aid came with conditions? In your opinion, I'd like to know from you guys, should disaster aid come with conditions? Imagine tying the federal relief to actual reform. What if part of the deal required removing ineffective leaders like Newsom and Bass, people who have repeatedly shown that they can't do the job? They're not up to the task. This isn't just about aid. It's about ensuring that those in charge are capable of leading through the storm, not just riding it out on the backs of taxpayers. Now, speaking of taxpayers and how their money is used, let's shift gears to a different kind of political expenditure, presidential transitions. These transitions are funded by us, and when I say us, I mean the taxpayers, to ensure a smooth transfer of power. But here's the twist. In a recent interview, Melania Trump, who just landed a $40 million Amazon deal for a documentary about moving into the White House and the transition process, revealed something surprising. Back in 2016, the Obamas didn't exactly leave a comprehensive guidebook for the Trumps. You shouldn't be shocked there. That shouldn't have shocked you. But let's take a look at what she had to say about this entire ordeal.
I'm First Lady. It's great to see you again. Thank you for sitting down with us to talk about your new documentary.
Thank you for having me. It's an exciting time.
It is. We were thrilled to hear that this was coming out. I want to know details, why you decided to do this, and what will it be like?
Well, the book was such a success, and I'm very proud, and I get so many messages and letters how they enjoy the book, and they would love, my fans and people would love to hear more from me. So I had an idea to make a movie, to make a film about my life. My life is incredible. It's incredibly busy. And I told my agent, I have this idea, so please, go out and make a deal for me. We started the production in November, and we are shooting right now, so it's a day-to-day life, what I'm doing, what kind of responsibilities I have. People, they don't really know, and they will see it. It's day-to-day, from transition team to moving to the White House, packing, establishing my team, the First Lady office, moving into the White House, what it takes to make the residence your home, to hire the people that you need.
So it's a snapshot of what it takes to move back into the White House. I don't think a First Lady has ever done this.
Not that I know, of course.
Behind the scenes, what is it like when you're moving back in the White House? What's different this time?
The difference is I know where I will be going. I know the rooms where we will be living. I know the process. The first time was challenging. We didn't have much of the information. The information was upheld for us from previous administration. But this time I have everything. I have the plans. I could move in. I already packed. I already selected the furniture that needs to go in. So it's very different transition this time, second time.
Alrighty, that sounds like shots fired to me. You got to ask yourself, is this why Michelle, decided that she may skip or that she skipped Carter's funeral, or why she's skipping the inauguration overall. Beware of the wrath of Melania. And honestly, I mean, it's completely justified. I mean, she handles it with such class. I don't have a negative thing to say about that. Honestly, I don't think anybody has a negative thing to say about Melania Trump outside of the cackling hens from The View. But let's not forget how horrible both Michelle and the press were to Melania during Trump's first term. And it was entirely unnecessary. But this isn't just about etiquette or, figuring out where the good china is. It's about the operational side of running the White House. During Trump's first term, there was significant evidence that the Obama administration wasn't exactly forthcoming during the transition. Take the Steele dossiers, for example. This dossier, compiled by former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele, contained unverified allegations about Trump's ties to Russia. Obama was briefed on it in 2016, and it was part of the intelligence community's assessment during the transition. Yet Trump's team wasn't fully briefed on the dossier or its implications. And what's worse is that declassified documents revealed that the Obama administration used FISA warrants to survey members or surveil members of Trump's campaign, like Carter Page, based on information from the dossier. So the DOJ later admitted that 2 of the 4 FISA applications lack probable cause. So this isn't just about leaving a guidebook. It's about a transition marred by what many see as a deliberate effort to keep Trump's team in the dark about significant intelligence operations that was targeting them specifically or directly. So yeah, Michelle, skip the inauguration. No one's really going to miss you based on what she said, that she's pretty much tired of politics, although the scuttlebutt is that she's been asked a multitude of times to run. Doesn't sound like that is going to be the case. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's something that we actually want anyway. But there's still something that needs to be said about political norms and etiquette. And sure, Trump probably, should have attended Biden's inauguration in 2021. I'm not even going to say probably. I'm going to say that he should have. But if you guys recall, the media, they went into full meltdown mode over it. If you guys recall, the double standard, it's hard to ignore, but it's honestly something that we should get used to. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Goodness gracious.
Not to attend the inauguration. Is this a missed opportunity for him, or, in light of what we saw over the past of Washington early today? So for more on this, let us bring in Dr. Larry Sabato. He's the director for the University of Virginia's Center for Politics. So Larry, I want to talk about sort of the whole overview, but first I want to get from you, your take on President Trump's decision not to attend the inauguration. Is this a missed opportunity for him, or, in light of what we saw over the past couple of weeks, maybe, this is exactly what his own supporters would expect, and maybe it would seem disingenuous for him to show up at the inauguration anyway?
Well, everything you just said is true, but let me add one other word: rude. It's just plain rude.
Yeah, like I said, Trump probably should have attended the inauguration. He definitely should have attended the inauguration. He definitely should have, because it was ruled. It wasn't professional. But let's compare that to Michelle skipping this year, or the reaction when Kamala Harris didn't invite J.D. Vance to the VP's residence, breaking a long-standing tradition. The double standards here are glaring. They really are. But, and I don't know if we would expect anything less, to be honest with you. Uh-oh. There we go.
On the Kamala Harris of it all, let me just play, not to explain it. She can do what she wants. She's the vice president. But here's what J.D. Vance has said about her.
It's that Kamala Harris is so asleep at the wheel that she won't even do an investigation into what happened. And she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell. But while we're not garbage for thinking that Kamala Harris has done a bad job, I think in a couple days the voters in New Hampshire are going to take out the trash in Washington, D.C., and that person's name is Kamala Harris.
Okay, Michelle Obama represents me, and I'm glad that she's not, like, if she doesn't want to go, don't go. I hear, but I just feel like she has gone high. She's gone very high for a very long time, and I have said on the show before, when they go low, we need to match energy. We are in a different era of politics. Also, Donald Trump doesn't want Michelle Obama at his inauguration, so he doesn't care. Like, let that be his day. He won. Go govern. Michelle Obama, go live your best life. Represent the 92 of us who showed up for Kamala Harris. And if Kamala Harris has been more than graceful with presiding over the certification of the election, with showing up, I mean, you laugh, but
graceful.
Like, The last time that happened, remember the whole Capitol was on fire. Crap was smeared on the wall. I'm just saying,
she has
it's not
no
laugh.
functional
It's
role
not,
in it.
It's like your laugh is
ministerial.
Your laugh is diminishing sometimes your points because if you just remember 4 years ago, we just didn't even have any of those things. We didn't have the sitting president come to the inauguration, let alone a first lady from 8 years ago. So Michelle Obama, go live your best life.
I would just quickly throw in here.
Yeah. I really don't like that lady. I'm not a fan. Just saying. I'm not a fan. But I honestly, for the life of me, don't know how Jennings does it. I don't know how Scott does it, man. I don't know how Scott Jennings sits there with those people. That dude's he's the real MVP, man. He is. But when Michelle Obama decides to skip, it's a you go girl situation. And to be honest with you, I mean, I've watched and read some of the things that you guys, I mean, no one really cares. I don't think she'll be missed much, to be honest with you. I just don't. And the famous line, from Michelle, when she says, oh, when they go low, we go high. I mean, it's rich, but we know the Democrats, they always go low. They always go low. But here we are watching the Democrats do exactly what they've accused Trump of, being an authoritarian by skipping traditions and ignoring political courtesies. They've called Trump out for not respecting the norms, for not showing the proper respect, but now they're doing the exact same thing. And if they truly stood by their principles, which we know that they don't, I don't know if they have any real principles, they wouldn't be playing these types of games. If they truly believe that they live on this moral high ground, they wouldn't play these types of games, but they don't. It's all theater. It's all fake. It's all fugazi. But we all know how they operate, man. You guys know how they operate. We all know how they operate. They lie. They twist the narrative. They manipulate things to fit their agenda. That's who they are, man. They've always been like that. They don't really mean what they preach about going high. They don't really mean it. They always go low. It's all about optics for them. It's not about, real integrity. It's not. It's not about real integrity. It's not about respect for the office. And we know that they do not have any respect for the country. We know this. But hey, we see right through it. We see right through it. We're not fooled at all by their double standards. We're not. And as we move forward into this new era, I hope we don't have to hear much more about Kamala, Michelle Obama, or any other political figure who've shown this level of hypocrisy. And as for Michelle, she'll be just fine. We know this. She's making, hundreds of thousands of dollars at speaking events. She's got a big Netflix deal, books doing well, book signing, so forth and so on. She's going to be living it up, in one of the mansions in an all-white neighborhood. had to get that in there. In an all-white neighborhood, pretending to be oppressed because she's a victim. And so is Barack Obama. He's a victim. Hey, give me some of that $400 million victimhood, man. Hey, give me some of that $400 million victimhood. This is so ridiculous, man. It is mind-boggling me that some of the wealthiest people in the country, some of the wealthiest black people in the country, some of the wealthiest black people on the planet are victims and they're oppressed. It's the most ridiculous thing ever, man. It really is. It really is. But I appreciate you guys pulling up. That's all I have for y'all today. We didn't go as long as we did yesterday, man, but it had a lot more to cover yesterday, especially with the craziness, out there in Chicago. Still hadn't hit mainstream news yet. No one's really talking about it yet on the, on the national level. I don't know if you guys recall, some of you may or may not have been here yesterday, but, out in Chicago, they found multiple blocks of C4 rifles, false fire department kits, false police department kits, tactical gear, multiple IDs. Not a whole lot have been discussed about that. I'm assuming that it's some form of sale. They did catch one person. There is one person in custody. They have not released his name nor his face. I would assume that, maybe he's being interrogated. They're trying to find who the rest of these guys that are a part of this, what this is about, I would assume. But yeah, man, that situation, it's a mess. It's a mess. We talked about that yesterday. If you missed it, check out the stream from yesterday, man. It was pretty crazy, but appreciate you guys pulling up, man. T.A. Caskey, shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to Zephyr, MPO Creations. Appreciate you, sister. Appreciate you pulling up today. Appreciate everybody pulling up, man. I know we had some trolls in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I seen you, but why is it that, there's people that troll, but on the day when I open it up, for people to call in, those people never want to call in and have a conversation. For the life of me, I don't understand why that happens. But tomorrow, be on the lookout, man. We're going to have a great show. We got a pretty decent panel of guests that we'll jump on. We'll have some pretty solid conversations, man. And tomorrow's going to be a great show, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up today. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. Shout out to you, Mark, man. I'll see you out there, Mark Lynn. Appreciate you pulling up today as well. Today, I thought today was pretty good. A lot of good information covered. There's a lot going on and, a lot more to cover. So we'll be here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, Lord willing. And, again, if you'd like to support the channel in any kind of way, you can join the ARP family. Super chat, super thanks are greatly appreciated. Or you can consider buying your man a coffee. Link is in the description box below. As always, keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. It is crazy out here in these streets. It is cold, so make sure you guys stay bundled up, out here. And we'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.